Hello and welcome to Confidently Wrong, a show by regular dudes talking with confidence about content we have no right to speak about with any kind of authority, but do it anyway. I'm Wesley Nakamura, and as always, I'm joined by award-winning director Brian Redondo and Savon Jones, aka Captain Bonnie. This is episode 199, and we react to the What If spin-off Marvel Zombies. I'm confident that it's going to be the best show you've ever listened to, and well, hey, if it's not, you can always ask us for a refund.
Incredible!
Hello, gentlemen. Welcome back as Confidently Wrong. This is episode 199. We are one episode away from 200 actual full episodes. Oh my goodness, we're not there yet. We haven't even planned what we're doing for 200. Maybe it's just going to be a regular episode. Maybe we'll just zig and zag.
What we plan, we don't. We're going to do episode. We're going to actually do a skip to episode 201, and then we'll let you know we're going to do episode 200.
Yeah. We'll rewind.
We need more time. Yeah.
We'll rewind back to 200. All right. So we're going to talk
200 reasons we love you.
About a new animated series based on a comic run from a few years ago, Marvel Zombies.
Oh,
which
yeah.
is kind of exactly what it sounds like. It does relate a little bit to the What If Zombies episode. It's kind of like a later, epilogue or sequel to it.
Mm-hmm.
Although I don't think you necessarily need to have watched that episode in order to enjoy this one. But anyways, what were your sort of thoughts, expectations going into this one, guys? Because honestly, this one kind of flew under the radar. I didn't really know it was coming, and it just sort of showed up, and Brian was like, Marvel Zombies is out in like 2 days, and I was like, oh, okay, great, like we could check that out. So Sav, what was your hype for this?
Excited
project?
Because surprise, surprise, I read Marvel Zombies when I was a kid.
You read? What is this?
Yeah, I know. When I was a kid, I used to, go to Barnes and Nobles. My mom would run errands and she'd drop me off at the Barnes and Nobles, and I just sit in the comic book section.
You were one of those kids,
I was
just sitting in the aisles.
Oh my God, what?
Were you going to the one in Metairie? Or were you?
Who knows, man? I don't know. Anytime, whatever the nearest Barnes and Noble was. I don't know. Sometimes my brother would have like his basketball tournaments, and we're traveling for AAU, and I'm like, Mom, can you just like drop me off at Barnes and Nobles for a while y'all at this game and pick me up in like an hour or two? But I would be the kid reading the comics, and that's like a lot of my comic stuff is from just reading Barnes and Nobles and posting up there. So I actually read all of Marvel Zombies.
Didn't buy a single issue, just ended up reading on the floor.
I was 12. Comics are expensive, especially a full run. But
comic book artists can't eat because you were reading on the floor.
Well, I buy comics now that I have a job, so get off my nuts. But I was a big Marvel Zombies fan. I read it as a youngin', and it was pretty ridiculous when you get right down to it. Like, far more ridiculous even than the show is, if you can believe that, in its most absurd moments. But I went in expecting not much, except I knew we were going to get tons of violence and gore, because you just don't do Marvel Zombies without just tons of death and violence. And I also knew that we were going to get cameos of pretty much every Marvel character ever, because those were, I felt like, key components of the Marvel Zombies comic, right? It's every comic character you've seen, a bunch of people zombified, and a bunch of people fighting and blowing each other up and killing each other, blood, guts, gore, all that stuff. So when they announced the show, I didn't know what they were going to do storyline-wise, because I figured they weren't going to adapt the story one-to-one, because why would you? Also, we saw What If. We know that they kind of already did their own rendition of zombies. But in my mind, it was just, okay, as long as I get lots of Marvel cameos and lots of death and characters, that's pretty much all I'm asking for. And we got that in What If. Granted, it was a little bit more muted because they didn't do the real blood and gore. They did like the whole purple slime thing instead of blood that they do to make it PG-13 instead of TVMA. But for zombies, I was just hoping we get more of that, but elevated, right? Of lots of cameos, lots of blood, guts, violence, and death. And I got that in spades.
You got that.
Yeah. And I mean,
you definitely got that.
that was, if we're talking expectations, that was I was expecting. Nice. I'm like, I don't know what we're going to get, but I want to see all my favorite characters, and I want to see everybody dying and getting messed up. What If kind of did it. I wanted them to do that and crank it up even higher. And they kind of did that. So in terms of the bare minimum, which characters were you
most excited to see pop up?
Honestly, in terms of who I wanted to, or just who was I happy to see in the series period?
Either one. Yeah. Because like almost everybody showed up at some point.
My favorite thing is not really getting too caught up in who I expect to see, for me, the fun is legitimately just throwing expectations to the wind and just being surprised when you see him. Like, I really tried to do something. I really just went in with an open mind of like, I don't know who I'm gonna see, but I know everybody and their grandma gonna pop up. So let's just see how we get there. It was very much a journey, not the destination type of trip. So when I saw Captain Marvel, when I saw the Eternals, when I saw Moonblade, which by the way, I'm not calling that man Blade Knight. I'm calling him Moonblade because that sounds better.
Blade Knight. Right.
Moonblade sounds better to me, but whatever.
Moonblade.
Yeah, see, that sounds way harder. That sounds way
Moonblade sounds
harder.
pretty cool.
Blade Knight.
So-
No, Blade Knight's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I think Blade Knight's kind of cool.
No.
It's like Blade Knife, Blade Knights. Ooh.
Be gone. You're banished. You're to the corner. Time out with you, Brian.
Wait,
yeah.
was one of the Eternals? Was one of the
Yep.
Eternals?
Icarus,
is
right?
that who was
Icarus.
fighting
That
Captain
was-
Marvel?
I
was
thought it
Icarus.
was 2 Captain Marvels.
No. So in the
I
scene-
was so confused who
So in
that
the scene,
was.
they said this being is non-organic and is heavily damaged. So they're referring to the Eternals because they're not organic and he can't, die by conventional means. And he was shooting the eye beam lasers. I had to rewind too of like, who is that? And when I saw the laser beams coming out the eye, I'm like, oh, that's Icarus.
Cyclops. Oh, okay.
Was he also zombified? He wasn't.
He was not
was
because they say
He was
explicitly
just fighting. Yeah.
because he's inorganic and so he can't be zombified because they're not even like any living. They're not living beings. So his whole bit was just him and Captain Marvel still made it out.
We already had that podcast. We already talked about synths and hybrids.
Well, we already talked about the alien virus monster thing fighting the hybrids, the synth
Why are we even
hybrids.
talking about this show?
Is there an alien zombies situation?
Oh, that'd be
Whoa.
crazy. Xenomorph zombie.
I mean, I told you that it's Predator versus Black Panther. I think there was a whole thing with that where it's like a Predator
Really?
against Black. Oh yeah, I saw that comic when I was in Barnes and Noble like a month ago.
That's kind of fire.
All right, but yeah, that was my first impression.
Grown ass man sitting in the aisles of the comic section.
Not buying it.
Hey,
Reading.
I sit in the Starbucks now, and I get a pumpkin spice latte, and I do buy the book.
PSL season.
Has it started?
Oh yeah, what? Oh my lord!
All right.
Dude, it started in like July.
What? That's not.
I had some
Oh,
pumpkin
that's
spice beer
way too
last
early for fall.
weekend. I had a pumpkin
It's-
spice latte the other day. Oh yeah, we in this thing.
I mean,
I mean, it's already
tea.
Christmas season too, by the way.
But yeah. Home Depot has the Halloween decorations and the Christmas decorations out. Wait, but I'm assuming for both of you that the weather has started to calm down and like it start to feel a little nice-ish, fallish, maybe even a little chilly. It's still fucking over 90 here every single day.
You live in Texas, Wes.
Oh, it's so.
It's going to be in the 80s this
Stop
week.
saying
in New York.
Texas
Okay,
stuff.
so
and being...
you're still warm.
Yeah, we still have our air conditioner in the window. so-
Damn.
Yeah, it's,
All right.
it's,
that's
it's
not
high
legal.
70s, 80s here.
We don't
too.
have to talk about weather. I was just pointing out that like it's really too warm for us to be doing pumpkin spice latte here in Texas. You still got to get it iced or something because it's too
Yeah,
fucking
I wanna
hot.
get
still.
ice. Yeah, what y'all think about Marvel
all right.
Zombies like proactively, before you came into all this?
Well, I thought nothing because I didn't even know it was coming. And I don't
Wes
actually.
thinking nothing. What's
I know.
new?
Yeah, I don't. I think enough for my job.
He's
I
a
don't-
Zen, he's Zen Buddha monk mode. Gotta reframe it, Wes.
Yeah, I can't. You can't.
Was that racist?
Unless you want it to be.
I'm just kidding.
I like how we're all like, is it? Okay, so I didn't really think anything of it. I don't really love these like shorter or like kind of one-off animation things in terms of like I'm not excited by them. Like they turn out to be cool, that's great, but I'm not necessarily going to go out of my way to hype it up or to be
Because
or
you don't
watch
like
it.
animation. Is that what you're saying?
I do like animation.
I don't think
I
Wes
just,
like anything.
I just don't know that like these stories speak to my soul. Although I know I was on record with the Eyes of Wakanda thing being like, I don't know about this, but then like I watched the rest and I was like, this is pretty cool. But in terms of this one, I didn't have any expectations going in because obviously I didn't even know it was coming. Brian, where were you at?
I mean, this honestly was kind of under the radar for me too. Like, I know that Marvel Zombies is a thing. It's actually my favorite form of Comic-Con cosplay when people do zombified
that's kinda cool.
superheroes.
Yeah.
is really cool. But like, otherwise, like it's not a book that I was ever interested in reading. I didn't realize that they were doing this, or I had forgot that they were making this series. Or miniseries or whatever you want to call it.
So did Elizabeth Olsen. Someone interviewed her and she was like, "Yeah, I did record the lines for that. I don't really remember when or where, how."
I was actually pleasantly surprised that she was in the voice cast. Like I thought she had wiped her hands with Marvel, but Maybe they did it before she wiped her
Well, she
hands,
said she
honestly.
did it at home, so this was pandemic times. That's
Yeah,
all.
they're
That's
just
her
like
only frame of reference.
sent
She's
her a
like,
few lines to record.
yeah, she was like, I definitely
Like,
did
who
this at
knows what it's
home.
for?
So
Yeah, so I didn't really have a lot of expectations. But I will say, because of Eyes of Wakanda and how fun that was, it did pique my interest for another animated miniseries. And then even more so, I had seen a headline that said Marvel Zombies delivers the promise of What If, where What If failed,
hmm.
right? And like
I
I
agree
have
with that
always thought
statement.
that the What If series has kind of faltered. And so like there's it had so much potential, but Marvel Zombies, like, okay, if somebody's saying like Marvel Zombies actually like reaches that potential, that had my interest
All
peaked.
right, nice. So
Absolutely.
I wanted to talk about like the characters here, right? Because we well, okay. So first of all, spoilers. And what's nice is that like everything that happens in this Marvel Zombie show does not necessarily affect the MCU in any particular way. It could portend things that to come, but it also doesn't have to be. They're not necessarily the same characters in the same universe. I think some of that becomes pretty clear when like different characters have different origins and how they act, and so we're clearly not in like Marvel 616 here. Um, but like the characters sort of they stand out in certain ways. A lot of them get killed off, like pretty quickly. Was there anything that kind of jumped out at you as far as what you saw out of this show in terms of how things were characterized? Whether they maybe it was a contrast to the MCU or whether you got to get know more about the character. I just wanted to see like, did this show develop characters in a way that actually spoke to you or that you were invested in? Brian, start us off.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of interesting. It didn't even occur to me that this was different from Earth 616, because this follows suit with the What If series, in that they are purposely modeling all the characters in the series after their live action counterparts and using mostly the same voice actors, right? So it feels really connected to the
It does.
It was
MCU.
almost
Yep.
all their main characters. Like I think outside of like
So
Spider-Man
surprised.
and Blade, I think almost everybody else had their actual on-screen
Had
voice
their
actor. Because I was looking at the voice
Oh
cast, I'm
yeah.
like, oh damn, they got like every Randall Park, they got everybody.
They had Mahershala Ali, who
they, they
hasn't
they
even
didn't have
had
him.
screen time as Blade.
They didn't have him as
Like,
the VA.
what, that wasn't him?
That wasn't him.
Are you sure?
Oh my god,
It
I
was.
was
I'm
convinced it
pretty
was
sure it
him.
was someone different. They
I'll
used
I
look
his
was
it up. You
likeness,
keep going.
convinced.
You
but
keep
I'm
going.
pretty sure he was like one of the few. Him and Spider-Man were some of the ones who did not have their
Yeah.
live
Paul
screen
Paul
counterparts.
Rudd is in there,
Yep.
Iman Vellani is Ms.
Yep.
Marvel for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Same with
She becomes
I think
almost like
David
the main
Harbour.
character.
Yep.
David Harbour. Anyway, so I, like I had that connection, right? Like, oh, they're actually using the MCU as we know it as the jumping off point for the zombies. So it was really interesting to dive into episode 2, where they give us a new Shang-Chi origin story, basically, right from the jump. And
Yeah.
I think like them saying like, okay, we are willing to rewrite how you understand some of these characters, uh actually like made the series more exciting. I think like the more that these Marvel animated things can move away from the MCU in a way is kind of better. Is like it like opens up all the possibilities, and that's what makes What If so good, and that's what
When it was
makes
working.
like the ultimate comic book series, right, where they reimagine the heroes, but give them something completely different, give you a new way to think about how this could work. So I love like Shang-Chi gets bit early on in that episode, and then his dad sacrifices himself to shoot the rings at his arm that gets bit, and he's using one of the rings to basically stave off becoming zombified. That's just a cool idea. That's a cool idea in zombies.
Yeah,
Like,
that's sick.
and that's the sort of thing that you own. That's the sort of thing that you can only get when you are combining, the Marvel universe with zombies, right? Like we've seen tons of zombie movies, right? Like Walking Dead, The Last of Us, whatever. It's 28 days later. Like there's so many versions of zombies, and they all have this challenge of trying to differentiate themselves from one another. So, if it's going to be Marvel Zombies, we got to see how those specific Marvel characteristics play out in a zombie universe. And in that one instance, I thought was a great example. And then, so like the more times that they do that throughout the series, the more times I'm like, yes, this is what we came for. This is what we need more of.
Interesting. Okay.
Sav, was there any characters that you appreciated their development or characterization?
So not anybody in particular. What I do like, and this is kind of a two-pronged thing. And it's my biggest critique too. But what I loved is that it's a double-edged sword, right? I like that the stars were a bunch of the lesser known heroes who just aren't people's immediate, like, okay, I'm like, oh, cool, Ms. Marvel, Kamala's gonna just be the main person. All right, cool, they're gonna center this in her. I don't have any problem with that. I think she's a fun, cool character and doesn't, it's one of those cool. We've had a bazillion stories where the lead Avengers get to take charge. I don't mind having her. I'm like, oh, we got some more Riri. I'm always a Riri fan. I'm always a Kate Bishop fan. So
we didn't get a lot of them though.
Well,
yeah,
it's
okay. You don't get a lot of people. A lot of people
That's
perish.
the whole point. Everyone's here for a good time, not a long time, or
Yeah.
a short time, not a good time or a long time. But so I just like that we didn't get all of the main popular cliche characters that you expect, and it was that ragtag. Like, I like that we had who's Randall Park's character? Is it Jimmy
Woo?
Yeah, we got like Jimmy Woo, Jimmy Woo. That shit was funny. Or just the fact that Death Dealer just gets to be a cool background character for the majority of the show, being a badass.
You're always here when I need you, Death Dealer.
Like that was like that little like that was fun. Just seeing these characters who would never ever interact, but in this context, they're riding Mad Max style fighting Skrulls and shit. You got Ant-Man head, and you got missing leg Black Panther before he dies, and all that. I just like that we didn't get all of the major popular immediate characters, and even with the cameos, right? Like, you got to see, I'm like, oh, Zemo. When I saw Zemo, I was like, oh, Zemo? Oh, John Walker? I thought I was at like a college or a high school reunion. I'm like, oh shit, I ain't seen you since the end of Civil War. I ain't seen
How
you
you been?
Oh man, Zemo, I ain't seen your ass since Sam broke you and they was in the club getting busy in the fucking photos. How you been, big dog? So just the wide variety of not the cliche, I like that. But it's a double-edged sword, because I think my biggest frustration, Brian, I said this about What If, is that I thought What If was held back by them wanting to be tied visually to the MCU and wanting to use those storylines and those character likenesses. And so I think the show did as good as you can get, considering I'm not a fan of it. I like when you just do something completely separate, almost Marvel Rivals style, West, where it's just a completely different version that's so separated from MCU that it's nothing, no similarities.
Yeah.
I thought, considering they decided to stick through with that, and I get why, I think they did.
Or like Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, right? Like that's
just like
I prefer that.
I think considering what they did, though, and they wanted to promote their other characters, I think they did fine. My only real complaint, though, and this is my only real complaint about the show, is that a lot of these actors are not voice actors. Those are two very different skill sets. Being able to act on screen and do your lines and all that is different than being able to be in a room where you can't use your face at all to emote. Using just your voice to convey emotion and expression is really, really hard. And that's why voice actors are its own category of that. And that was my one complaint, was that they felt the need to anchor themselves in the MCU as a jump off point. Insisted on using the actual actors. And I think the quality between the actors was kind of like all over the place, where some of the more experienced actors, I think, did a good job of voicing their characters because maybe they have a little more VA work. But then certain others, I just don't think that they're very good at that. And that's no shade to them. It's just, it's not their medium.
Different skill set. Yeah.
But I think there were moments where it showed. Like, in terms of the writing of the story, I enjoyed Kamala throughout. I just don't think her actress is a very good voice actor. And I think there were a couple moments like that with other characters where I'm like, I'm glad we got the authentic voice. You're not a voice actor. I'd rather have just gotten someone else to, or the fact that they had Spider-Man reading out the last Wakanda Forever because they didn't want to recast Chadwick Boseman's voice with a thing. So you just have this like white guy saying, I could almost hear him say, Wakanda
Yeah,
forever.
that was weird.
Like it was the last time. It was like there were little moments like that where I'm like, B, y'all are clearly hamstringing yourselves because you want to have this MCU like grounding, and I'm never gonna be a fan of that. But everything else was fire. Like the characters, everybody popping up. Blade was sick. Thor was sick. I'm usually not a big Thor fan, but when Thor was in that mug, I was like, oh shit. And I know you're not a fan, but I liked Wanda. Wanda was just like, I'm glad that Marvel is recognizing, hey man, Wanda is like a real MF. And I'm glad that we've had multiple properties and stories that are reinforcing, hey, bro, Wanda's a top tier threat. And I'm glad that she's starting to get some of the clout and recognition she deserves, because
Put respect on her name.
and I'm not even a Wanda fan, but like, yo, man, put some respect on her name. Like, Wanda's a problem out here. I feel like she's on some Jason. I feel like she's on some Jason Tatum. Y'all need to stop sleeping on her. She the face of the league of people who dangerous.
Couldn't even get in the Olympics. All right. So
Yeah.
I think I was kind of pleasantly surprised by Ms. Marvel. I do agree that like maybe the voice acting wasn't like amazing. The writing was like kind of ho-hum for her, but I did like that we got to see her powers in an animated way, which actually maybe works better than a live action version of it, right? And we saw her kind of do like some cool
It's
stuff
true for every superpower.
See, I rather the rubber band
yeah.
shit though. That's why I rather the rubber band. That's why I didn't like the MCU grounding thing, because I'm like, yo, give me Kamala, but give me comic Kamala, who's an actual
Stretchy
polymorph who. But sorry, I didn't mean it. But that was like,
but at least in this MCU version, right? They expanded her power set.
Yeah,
here, right.
I don't know if they expanded it. I mean, it was just the light. It was still the light crystals, but the light crystals, like, they just used them in pretty inventive
just
ways.
cooler in animation.
Yeah, right.
Animation,
like,
you can just do cooler
you know,
shit.
Green Lantern kind of looks silly in live action, but like when you put him in comics or animated, you're like, yeah, that's awesome. Like,
Yeah,
you know, he built a force field or a bubble or whatever. You know, so I think, you know, having her do a lot of that Green Lantern stuff, you know, where she's using them in different ways, using them as barriers, using them as weapons, you know, using them to get around places. Yeah. And then, oh my God, when she explodes his head, right? Like,
yo, that was sick.
It was cool. And so there was just lots of cool stuff that they did with her powers, with her ability to like tie together different characters and feelings. Her connection to Alexei, to Red Guardian, was pretty cool. I didn't know if they like quote unquote earned that, right? It was just kind of like, oh, she's just like throwing it in. She's like just trying to offer a comforting, you know, whatever.
It's zombies, boy. People dying. It's hard out here. You friends just few and far in between. So you know what I'm saying? You got to make a connection when you got it.
Yeah. So I didn't mind.
Be picky.
Yeah, and it's only 4 episodes. So like, you know, you're not expecting necessarily anything to be, you know, super deep and fleshed out. So I like the way that they handled, you know, Kamala. I also kind of liked the Blade Knight Khonshu.
That's gotta be the
that
best
was so
character,
bad.
Right?
That was that shit was
Moonblade,
so awesome.
Moonblade,
that
Blade
shit was
Knight.
awesome.
Just that idea
every
is
time.
crazy.
Yeah, and like he had some of the coolest action scenes. I know that's not character development necessarily, but
busting ass is character development.
Just like
Talk
you could
shit, Wes.
you could tell he was a badass. You could tell he was like super confident, but also he was kind of snarky. He was like, I don't know, he don't tell me everything. So
you know what I do like? Oh, sorry.
So I like Blade Knight, I think, as kind of a cool character. And I preferred that one rather than like Mark Spector. Mark Spector would have been a weird animated version because you would have had to do too much with like all the split personalities and stuff. And in this one it was just like cool to see like Blade Knight be just like he was kind of like an older brother figure for all these other people, but then he kind of had a cool back and forth with Valkyrie, you know, just all kinds of cool stuff going on with him. So I enjoyed him. And he had a bike. He had a moon bike.
Yeah, he had the Moonblade bike. That was sick too. Also, a really fun detail with Khonshu was that throughout the thing, I don't know if y'all picked it up, there were several moments where Khonshu is giving them little subtle warnings about the stuff that's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Duck.
when he tells a girl duck, or when they go to the place, he says, don't touch anything. I thought it meant, don't touch any artifacts or statues or shit they could break. What he meant was, no, do not touch the food. But it was one of those cool.
He could have made that more clear, though.
Yeah, but the whole point is that like Khonshu is a fickle god who doesn't tell him everything. So there's these cool moments where he'll like give a subtle hint of something, and that's Khonshu kind of putting his thumb on the scales where it's like, okay, you could have been more forthcoming about that. But I guess thanks for the kind of assist. Like when they're falling and he's just holding the pose because he knows Khonshu's probably like, you're going to be good. Or I don't know. It just has so many cool Moonblade parts when he's fighting Ghost and he does the whole look away to stab her. Just even when he's fighting, his cape disappears when he's fighting and then reappears when he's out of combat. Like, I'm pointing this out to say, like,
clearly not practical.
Yeah, I'm pointing this out to say that, like, there was a lot of care in those little moments that, to me, again, showed some of the polish on the show of, like, y'all didn't have to do that, but you did, and that's a good sign in terms of just it didn't feel rushed and the attention to detail in little moments like that. Just shit that's like, yo, they all had fun putting this together. You know, when he's fighting with the blade and then you just see Khonshu's face in the blade, or when Khonshu's yelling at
that was great.
Yeah, or when Khonshu's yelling at Valkyrie and then everyone else, then they reestablish, hey, y'all, other people can't see Khonshu.
That was cool.
These folks are crazy.
Yeah. But then it reestablishes why they think Blade out his mind with Khonshu being fake, because it's like, well, yeah, you can't see him, and Blade's just speaking cryptically randomly, so why would they think this is Khonshu trying to give them a warning of don't eat the food? They just hear Blade say don't touch it.
Yeah.
But little moments
Khonshu's
like that
voice
like,
kind of took me out of it. They used
it was
like
the same
weird...
guy. It was the same guy, apparently.
Okay. I mean, I don't remember what Khonshu sounded like. I would have expected him to sound more like ethereal and like, godlike, and instead he's like kind of like a butler from like from the 1780s.
I felt like the filter. I felt like whatever. It was the same actor apparently, so I think they used like a booming filter effect in the show that maybe they didn't use in the comic. Because I agree, Wes. I heard it too, and I was like, huh. Normally I expect it to be a little more like got some
bassy, yeah.
Get some little bassy, little.
Say it with your chest, Khonshu.
What you doing? You need a lozenge, Khonshu?
He was like, guys, I can't believe you don't talk to me. I'm like, oh my goodness, okay. I was like,
so
whoa, that was not what I expected.
Character I wanted to ask about was that Black Knight that we got in the final episode.
Where did he come from? The swordman person?
The swordsman.
Okay, so I figured out who that was. That was, and so when you in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, remember how when you go to the temple, you learn that there's masters of the other different sanctuaries around the world. Remember how Doctor Strange is like, I have the New York Sanctum, and then
that sounds familiar.
But we learned that there's different sanctums, and each one has their own head sorcerer guy. That guy was the sorcerer of the London school, apparently. And if you go back to I looked this up. If you go back to Doctor Strange in that movie, that guy is the same character. Background guy who's basically just another master mage with a different, sanctuaries around the world. But he's the British one, and apparently all his spells, which first of all, shout out to them for taking a background character and just making him so badass.
Yeah, giving him a cool power set.
So cool.
Yeah.
Apparently, I was watching a video breakdown. Apparently, a lot of the stuff he was yelling was like Gaelic or Celtic, and it was actually correlating to what he was saying. So it was like saying, and now your head explodes. And he was basically narrating what his spells was doing to them in Gaelic while doing this shit. And I'm like, because I was watching, I was like, who is this dude? I need to know who this homie is. This homie putting that work
in.
At
first, I thought it was Blade because he had a sword. And then I was like, no, clearly not Blade.
I thought it was Black
He
Knight.
was a Doctor Strange.
Maybe it's Black Knight.
A Doctor Strange. No, he was not. He was Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, the London Master.
All right. And then the Minotaur green cow thing, he was pretty cool too.
Yeah, same deal. Doctor Strange character.
I don't know what made him in charge, though. He seemed like he was kind of in charge. Or took control of the situation.
It's the zombies, boy. Everybody dead. Everybody dead. Look, Wes,
they're following the what is it? The line of leadership.
Chain of command. Wes, you're a teacher. Yeah. Just like there's a teacher shortage, there's a hero shortage, a people shortage, everything shortage.
There's everybody shortage.
One day you two could be superintendent.
Yes.
No, thank you.
Once all the others are bitten by zombies.
I took on a little bit of management role, and I'm like, I don't know. This seems like it's for the birds. I don't really like this.
Yeah, management is just such a different skill set, Wes, that like
it's definitely not.
Isn't that the hardest part? Like you could be an amazing teacher for decades, and then the only way to climb up the ladder is to go into management. But it's like
I'm not trying to do all that.
Management is a completely different skill set. I don't want to manage people.
No, I'm seeing. No, I mean, I already knew that was a different skill set, and I was like, I don't really want to. People are like, don't you want to be like an assistant principal or like a principal? No,
no, you not.
No,
you want to tell adults to do their job?
Yeah, no, I don't like that at all.
You're not teaching at all.
I know
that's going to be a future Avengers storyline.
The person I'm working with, she was just kind of like, no, I'm not doing that. And I was like, okay. I don't know what to say to that. I guess that's an interesting take here.
And that's why I don't work in management no more. All
right, let's keep going. Oh, standout moments. So were there any scenes? I know we talked a little bit about some cool scenes we already liked. Was there any more that really stood out to you? I mean, I think I guess you could pull the last scene, you know, or the last couple of scenes where it's just like Wanda in the air, like having the zombie horde. But like, you know, was there anything else that was cool? The rule of cool, I think, really stands out here. Was there anything else that you enjoyed?
A lot of coolness.
Right?
That is what this show is. This show is rule of cool. Don't think over the rest. You know, the video. Oh, how did Win Woo know to go to San Francisco? I'm like, shut up. Shut up.
We just need these cool things to happen together.
And so, okay, I have two. Can I name? I have two.
Okay,
go for
ahead.
it.
Two ends of the spectrum. One was that long. Again, they didn't have to do this, but it just was like, yo, man, we're gonna really put our ankles in it. That long ass San Francisco one shot where it's just Katie and Sean running through San Francisco, and the Pym lab is going nuts because I'm like, oh, they're giant effing zombies.
Oh,
and then there's a guy who's like, what happened? Then a giant zombie eats him. And then you see him later as a zombie. But then also, Brian, for context, I don't know if you remember the what if, but they established that the virus comes from Janet coming out of the quantum realm. That's kind of the kickoff point. The events of Ant-Man happen, Ant-Man 2 or whatever, where Hank gets Jan out of the quantum realm.
But that's
the kickoff. She comes back. If you remember, Wes, you probably saw this episode, but in the What If Zombies episode, that's what starts the plague, is that
I don't remember that.
Hank rescues her from the quantum realm like he does in the movies, except she's a zombie. It's a quantum zombie virus, and that's why no one can understand how it works, and it's so potent. But I like that detail because that meant that's where the infection started. And so it's cool to see, the Hank lab is just a complete shit show because that's where Jan came in as a miniature super zombie. And so it makes sense that the lab has giant people popping up and giant seagulls and ants. And it's like, oh man, just the chaos, all that was just, I was watching it just like, yo, this is effing insane.
That was wild.
Then Sean
there's like a zombie horde falling off of the roof of a skyscraper.
It was just like people, it was just like it's like that disaster movie scene where all kinds of awful shit is happening, like a Universal Studios ride, to the point where if you zoom out, all the chaos probably doesn't make sense of like, why is there a streetcar riding down the street and a zombie's just on it, hanging off? You kind of think, I don't know how we even got in this situation. But again, rule of cool, this is the dopest, most chaotic shit ever. I love that. They did not have to go that hard for a long one take for just Shang-Chi and no girl in their valet uniforms trying to get out of San Francisco. And then in terms of one of the worst things I have ever seen in my life, because I did not even kind of see it coming, not even a little bit, was Wanda having them all eating corpses at the dinner with the Asgardians. That was the worst shit that was the worst shit I ever seen. And then when they said that, I was like, when they went there, I was like, okay, what's the catch? I know there's a catch. What's the catch? And I thought, I don't know. I just was going through my head of what's the catch? What's gonna go wrong here? This can't go right. What's gonna go ass up? And my bingo board or my list did not have Wanda glamours and illusions, a bunch of zombie parts that they all eat and then everyone dies. That shit was terrible in the best way of like, I'm glad that they said we're TVMA and we gonna like really, this ain't a soft TVMA, this is a hard TVMA. And I'm glad that they went there because that was disgusting and unnecessary, and it drove home just how ridiculous all this shit is in the best way.
Yeah, with that MA rating, like for me, what really stuck out was all the gruesome deaths, and that's what the zombie genre is about. Like, people gotta die. People you care about have to die, and then they also have to die in the most gruesome way possible. So, like for me, like seeing, I think like Zemo getting split in half was really wild.
So many people got split in half. Yeah,
everybody.
You know, like people. Somebody got taken out with a spear through their chest. But also when zombie Thor comes around in the final episode and just starts incinerating people, like, so you get the best character, who is Moonblade or Blade Knight or whatever you want to call him, is like so baller throughout the whole series, and then gets like such a disrespectful death of just being incinerated by zombie Thor, turning into a skeleton, and you're just like, oh my god, this is
Yeah, the
terrible.
power scaling got really intense at the end of like, all right, levels to this shit. Blade's been a great hard carry, but levels to this shit.
He's not god tier, right?
We have weight classes for a reason. This is why boxing has weight classes.
So like just the fact that they were able to take it there, it's like, yes, this is the comic book stuff that we want to see. And yeah, there's so many deaths, right? And you already mentioned Namor's death, right? Like Kamala just making him bite the encrystaled hand and making his head explode.
While everybody's holding him back.
That is good stuff.
That was pretty dope. She didn't end up with blood on herself, so I don't know how she did that. No, that was cool, and that's a level up for her, right? Like, because it's so much more gruesome than we've ever seen her be in MCU stuff at all, or in Marvel stuff at all, right? She's always kind of she's a kid, she's a teenager, so she doesn't really do like extra violence.
I mean, same with like Spider-Man.
It's kind of like when you think about anime, when like anime takes these ideas, they take it to the nth degree, and where like they're willing to go there, but like superhero comic book stuff doesn't.
Yeah.
At least in this version, like Marvel Zombies, they're given the reins are taken off, and they can take these ideas to crazy places, like like The Boys does that too with superpowers, right? And so it's really cool when we get to really think through, like, oh, where could you take this power set? It's like,
especially for the no-kill heroes, especially for the people who don't go for kills, like, because I feel like you read a Blade comic, Blade's killing people, and they're not really pulling punches. He beheads, he slashes, he kills. So that's like, to your point, Brian, yes, certain characters, we get to see them go all out, but then you have the Spider-Mans and the Kamalas who, just by nature of their character type and the audience that they're marketed to, we know that Spider-Man is perpetually pulling his punches. Like, his defining character trait is that he's never actually going all out. And so then you get to see a version of Spider-Man that's like, all right, what could Peter do if he actually is like going for the kill? And it turns out he can web a bunch of zombies' heads off and rip them joints clean off. And then you remember, if Spider-Man was like less chill, he could be the most efficient mass murderer ever. And it's like, this way that man is like, oh shit, I'm glad he's on our side. But I agree, that's one of the best parts of Zombies, is that you get to put characters in situations that they would never be in their main series and do fun shit that you would never get to see otherwise. You're just not going to see Kamala killing people. You're not going to see Kamala ever catching a body, even crossovers, because that's just not what the character do. So giving her a reason to use that deadly power set is fun, because to your point, Brian, not often will you see someone use a good character use their power to pop somebody's head from the inside. It's not a very heroic style of fighting, it turns out.
Neither is just sending them to like as a guillotine to like decapitate everybody charging at her.
Yeah, in the show it's a blunt thing that can knock you down. In the
She's
thing.
Sharper
man,
the couple of scenes that stood out to me, I really enjoyed. I don't know why, because it wasn't very like character driven. Was like the fight with the Hulk. Zombie Infinity Hulk or whatever at the end.
Just Infinity Hulk.
It was just cool.
Bro. Yeah, it was like visually kind of like really interesting to see how he had to fight, what he could do. And I thought, I was kind of thinking like, oh, I kind of wish this was an anime. Like some of the stuff that they did was like kind of like in that style a little bit, or like it was a little bit of homage, but because of the way that the style had been ahead of time, I don't think they could like fully go into that. It couldn't be like Marvel versus Capcom, style graphics. And I was like, man, I kind of wish this was an anime.
If only.
Yeah, I know. Why don't they make that animated series?
Watch the cutscenes from the games. The Marvel vs. Capcom cutscenes from the games have all kinds of dope fight sequences with like Magneto and Ryu, and oh man, I got some YouTube content for y'all.
They can do it. But I felt like this, especially some of those fight scenes, really would have. I mean, it was already cool, right? But like, they might have benefited from having more of an anime, like super intense, like close up, like the moment where like the background is moving, but like the foreground is not moving, like all of that stuff. It had like the fireball, type of energy blast going at each other. It's like, man, this was like ready made for for like old school, anime, like Japanese animation or anime style of fights and action scenes. So that I did like that scene because it was just like so cool, and I just kind of wish they just amped it up to 11 there with that style, or that this whole series could have been in kind of an anime style. And then the other, you guys mentioned the Namor scene. I think that was probably my second favorite scene. The scene that kind of rankled me a little bit, not the scene or like the story plot or whatever, was like how Thanos had was a zombie, but also then got the Infinity
we just
Stone.
dropped in on him.
Yeah, and then I don't know, it was like, okay, I guess he would still want to capture the Infinity Stones even as a zombie, but they were like, he wasn't very good at it, and now he's like learning how to do it. And then he gets dropped into the core reactor or whatever, and I was like, he did have the Infinity Gauntlet. He could have just warped reality on his way down, and it wouldn't have been a big deal. But I guess that wouldn't have made for a great story. So I don't know. I felt like that part of the story was like, you guys didn't really think this through. You just sort of wanted Thanos in here with his gauntlet and being a zombie at the same time.
The moment
that's very rule of cool.
The moment this entire show is rule of cool. The moment you think about,
but it wasn't cool either. He just kind of died by falling into a hole.
That was cool.
He died by falling into a hole.
That shit was cool.
But everything in Unleashed was so cool. But
Yeah,
also like a zombie Thanos. That's cool.
Look,
yeah, but he should have done different things.
Wes,
I don't know. Then like, I collect the stones. Like, whatever. I don't care. I want to see you.
Wes, this is Marvel Zombies.
Some heads.
This is Marvel
zombie brain.
This is Marvel Zombies. They say, and also What If kind of hamstringed them because they were connecting it to What If, so they already had introduced zombie Thanos. So like I think they kind of were tied in because they wanted to build it off that, so they probably had to make it work. Regardless, don't overthink the shit.
All right.
It's Marvel Zombies. We just need the point.
Then I
want to
see Thanos do more ass kicking.
The point of Marvel Zombies is to have a bunch of characters, cameos, deaths, and badass set pieces. Well, did you get that with the Thanos fight? Did we get that, Brian?
He gets thrown into the vibranium reactor or whatever. That's cool.
Gets, like,
right? They fighting him with all the stones. Cool. They fighting him with all the stones. They trying. They getting worked. They have a handicap because the zombie makes you a little bit dumber, which is established. I mean, it's better than the kind of comic. They straight up keep all their intelligence. Like in the comic, it was horrifying because you got zombie Reed Richards trying to figure out how to dimension hop. And I'm like...
That's I don't know if that's how zombies work.
In that one, like, they straight up beat Galactus because they say, oh, Galactus here, all right, we're zombies, but we still smart. Let's make a device that can beat them, and then they beat them and eat them. Like, so the idea that the characters, and also it was a cool touch that the heroes still clearly retain a lot of their conscious self and skills. So,
yeah, zombie Captain America,
zombie Hawkeye,
only his torso. Oh my god,
zombie Hawkeye, zombie Okoye. But
yeah, she was pretty cool.
Point is, Wes, the moment you think any of these things, look, you heard me say earlier, how did Winwu know to go to San Francisco? He didn't. It don't make any damn sense. Don't think about it. It's Marvel Zombies.
Then I say punch up the coolness for
the moment
Thanos, then.
I thought you just tripping. I thought that shit was incredibly cool.
Yeah,
I thought the only bad thing about the Thanos fight was that they had Peter Parker say Wakanda forever in proxy. That was the only problem they effed up. I
heard him say Wakanda forever
just under his breath, like he knew it was gonna be the last time. I'm like,
and then yeet, boink.
Or just one leg T'Challa going to work. I know he only had one leg in that scene. He was going to work. Like, that's just not what bothered me.
I liked Thor when he finally woke up from his depression and just started like zapping everybody. That was pretty cool too.
Yeah, just like, yo, could Thor have done something sooner? Yeah, but it's not cool if he does something sooner. So I'm gonna need you to roll with the punches.
All right, sounds good. Any other standout scenes for you guys before we move on?
Oof.
I mean, the biggest standout scene, or one of the biggest standout scenes, is the very last scene, of course. After Ms. Marvel accepts the Dark Queen or Queen of the Dead's offer, Scarlet Witch, and then purportedly remakes all of reality to make things better, and
she's
of
living
course,
in a utopia.
It's kind of not, right? Like it seems like she's sort of seeing through the illusion, assuming it's an illusion. Very frustrating. Very like a very frustrating ending.
I kind of liked it.
So like what is going on there, and then they're like leaving us hanging. I thought this was going to be a self-contained miniseries, but I mean, like, just like even the cliffhanger part of it aside, what happened, I think, is also one of the really notable things of the series, right? It's like, like, of course they don't really explain it too much, but I think it's an interesting idea that Scarlet Witch is trying to get the Infinity Stone power, and she's got control over all the zombies, and then really going like full Scarlet Witch and remaking the entire planet in some shape or form is also just like a really cool comic book thing that they haven't been able to get to in the MCU, but they're able to do in this vehicle.
Yeah, very Wanda coded. I guess that's why I liked her as the villain. I'm like, oh, this is very Wanda coded behavior, and yeah, I like the ending. I like the cliffhanger. I wasn't quite expecting it. Also, my thing was like, okay, there has to be. I'm glad they did a cliffhanger because the way the story was ramping up was like, okay, cool. It's not going to end the way we think it does because everyone is dead. Like, you know, I'm excited for what they try and do with this. And I like that it gives us room to theorize on more stuff that happened. Right? Like we saw Riri stab herself in the arm in episode 1. She said, I hope I didn't have to test this. And I wasn't sure what they were going to do with it or not, But
yeah, so probably she's alive, right?
I mean, she's definitely alive because we
some
saw
sort of immunity thing. Or
yeah, she had a cannon. And she talked about how she hacked the signal, which in some of this, I know, again, me and Tony be watching some of these breakdown videos after we watch these shows she's put me on. But like a point they made was that Riri talked about hacking a signal. A signal being hacked is the same way that they were able to break into, what was it, Westview in WandaVision?
Is that how they did it?
Yeah, they were able to get in the anomaly by using tech. That's why like the whole like sword was using technology to get in and figure out what was going on. Like it was a shit show at first, but it had to do with using spectrums to even be able to do surveillance. So like my point is that they're staying pretty consistent with the, hey, Wanda looks like she's doing a zombified version of what she did in WandaVision. It seems like Kamala's power probably enhances it or is an anchor in some capacity, but Riri
that
survived.
Part doesn't make sense.
Just she can manipulate light.
Yeah, probably the light. Maybe it makes a more convincing illusion. Maybe it has something to do with the interdimensional nature of the bangles because we know that they're, even now we know we don't really understand what they are. But I just think the don't overthink it part is that something about Kamala's power and bangles enhances whatever Wanda's trying to pull with her, zombie Westview shit. And kind of like in the WandaVision show, it looks like Riri's the one, or not Riri's the one, but somebody's hacking it using tech to be able to kind of break the illusion. And if we're getting into some almost zombie WandaVision type shit, like, why not?
Oh, I did not see the fact that they had this whole MacGuffin with the transmitter coming, and then it ends up being that the Nova Corps has been there the whole time and knew about it.
That
and
was
just,
a cool moment.
Is not going to do anything.
Y'all
I was
are quarantined.
I was like, yeah, that makes sense. That's actually more rational than than it should have been. And I was like, oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, 100%. Okay. I thought they were going to go one of two ways with that. I thought they were even going to go the like route in the comic where basically it's just the whole universe ends up getting infected, and it's like, hey, the Nova Corps actually got hit already.
Oh,
because like
which
would have been very Walking Dead.
Yeah, like in the comic, it's straight up
they
like
went to the CDC and they're like, oh, it's
actually it's already overrun.
Yeah. Like in the comic, they end up going to space, and then the rest of the universe is just kind of effed. Like that's just it. They roam space and devour all the planets, and it's like, okay, the end, kind of more or less. Yeah. Like, but yeah, the fact that they pulled it's on the back of my head. I'm thinking, okay, the Nova Corps shit ain't gonna work, but I'm thinking they're zombies already. But for them to have just already sanctioned off the planet.
But I love that, like, they set off the transmitter and they were like, all right, I guess we're here. And they're like, time to reveal ourselves, lights on.
Yeah. Like, what's the girl saying? What you said? That's weird. Even though like that signal, that call shouldn't go through that quick.
Yeah. They were already here.
Take 2 weeks.
They were there the whole time, guys.
What? No, that was
just watching you guys tear yourself to pieces.
That was a great moment. I'm glad that the show was not afraid to pull the rug underneath us. I mean, that's Marvel Zombies. It's perpetual rug pulling, but I'm glad people who didn't know what that was got the rug pulled under them consistently because they probably saw them first deaths with Kate and them and was like, oh shit, is that kind of show? And I'm like, yes, it's that kind of show.
All right, let's start wrapping up. Okay, so if you had to survive a zombie apocalypse, we know that Brian would choose the frying pan or the skillet to take with him. But let's say you ended up being paired up with a Marvel hero. They're not a zombie, so you're trying to survive, and they're not a zombie. They're on your team. Who are you teaming up with to get you to safety or to keep you guys alive? Who's your pick?
It's gotta be the non-organic hero that is not fodder for the zombies.
Vision?
You gotta go with Vision, man.
Oh,
Vision was
Vision
feeding people to Wanda.
Look after you.
Vision was
Was he-
feeding people
was he
to
in there?
Wanda in What If. Yeah, and What If the whole thing was that Wanda's a
Oh,
zombie.
I didn't see that episode.
That's why Black Panther had that one leg, and when we saw the show, is because he was captured by Vision, and Vision was like
Hacking
chopping
off
parts
pieces?
off of him to feed to Wanda. Vision
Yeah.
was not a zombie, to be clear, but he loved Wanda, and so she was a zombie, and was more than willing to farm us and use us to feed her. So
Love is a hell of a drug.
Pick your synthezoid a little more carefully.
White Vision. You can take White Vision.
But do we? I'm just not into that terminology.
Yeah,
I don't
Talking
support Vision generally.
about Brian. Yeah, Wes encouraging Brian to embrace a white vision is a very wild statement.
Hard pass. I don't like Ed Sheeran.
Crazy work.
What other inorganic superheroes do we have?
Any of the Eternals? Icarus? He was fighting Captain Marvel.
Boring though.
That is a very unsexy answer.
Ultron would be bad news, but maybe you need bad news in this kind of situation, right? Like you need ruthlessness
Ultron would probably be like
to get you through it.
Maybe would he kill you?
Ultron,
He's like,
Ultron might just sacrifice you.
Yeah,
though.
he's like,
Yeah, that's true. Ultron might be like, why do I need a human?
Yeah,
He's like, all the
exactly.
meat bags
You're
are
just
dead.
holding me back.
Why you say the meat bags are dead? Actually, this is acceptable.
Mephisto? Is Mephisto a good choice?
You tell me.
He's kind of he's an.
Well, I
angel,
don't know. Deal with the devil versus just like zombie
With
world.
zombies? Yeah, which is worse? Which is worse? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Part of me is wondering, like, watching the series, me and Anna were like, we just let ourselves get eaten. Should we just like let's just give up? Like, there's no point in fighting this.
But you don't die. You turn into a zombie, and
Well,
then
you
you're just
destroy the
perpetually
brain.
tortured as a zombie.
Well, you gotta
Are you
destroy the
tortured as a
brain.
zombie? You don't even really know.
You don't know?
No.
All right.
You're just like, you get to eat all the time. That's
Destroy
Alright.
the brain.
Okay, I got the answer. My hero that I'm picking as my team up partner is Wong. Because he's got magical, mystical powers. He can create portals. So, like, even if we get attacked by zombies, we could just bounce out of there real quick.
What if they follow you through the portal?
Well, then he's gonna close the portal, and we'll make a new one, and we'll get through the next portal. You know, he could close the
I'll
portal.
go in my house,
soon as
and
we
if the
get
zombies
through.
come, I'll just close the door.
Maybe he could portal us to a different dimension. Carmartage seems kind of safe, you know. So maybe he could just get us back to Carmartage, wherever that is, or some like, you know, different place, mystical places that we don't know about, that he has access to. And you know, if you're a fan of Marvel Snap, you get double on reveal, you know, powers. So that might be helpful to be able to send like multiple attacks out, you know, at the same time for the same cost. So
There were no
going Wong.
zombified sorcerers, were there?
I don't know.
I think they were all dead.
Yeah, maybe they
Because
just got killed.
if there were, like, I wonder if they would be able, if they would like use the portal ability and just like follow you through portals.
Oh, I see. Ooh,
They,
that'd be, yeah,
they
that might be
absolutely
bad.
would. They absolutely look. If Zombie Hawkeye still got his shot, and Zombie Cap is even more dangerous without a lower half of his body, Zombie Okoye is out here
Yeah.
sending waves of
yeah,
people.
they're coming through.
I'm
I
not
mean, they
saying
had
I would
giant-
survive. I'm just saying like that would be my choice to give me some kind of fighting chance here. To
They give you a leg up.
make it.
I think
yeah.
I give you a leg up.
that's real.
I'm going Wong. And not Doctor
Um,
Strange, because Doctor Strange would get too conceited and he would do something stupid that would just get us killed like really early. It's too much in his head, too much hubris going on.
Yeah,
there.
he gave Thanos a time stone. I know that was the winning play, but I'm like, I don't know, big dog.
Playing with fire.
Yeah.
All right, Sav, who's your character you're choosing?
So my
Your
fun
partner.
my rule of cool fun answer is Luke Cage because he has unbreakable skin and it's like the
Mm.
ultimate bodyguard.
He couldn't get eaten.
Yeah, that's my. I mean, for the record, he'd still get eaten. But for the sake of just the unbreakable skin, I'm like, you know what? Good bodyguard.
They get his eyeball.
Yeah, it's something. You know, like they turn him in Marvel Zombies. He gets turned. So like, they don't give a damn.
Okay,
That's
okay.
like that's the me having fun answer. Having
Okay.
a bodyguard with unbreakable skin, some shit like that.
I like that.
My actual practical nerd answer is like, see, I don't know if it counts because no. I guess because even though Janet is like the patient zero, I would want like Hank and them to be with me, because I'm like, look, man, they just got caught lacking because the virus caught them off guard on the bounce.
But in
I'll be
different
like, yo,
universe.
man, F this. Let's go to the quantum realm. We've been to the quantum realm. It's not perfect. It's not ideal. I know that's where the virus came from, but I'm convinced that from what we saw in Ant-Man Quantumania, we could find us a little pocket just to like post up. They still got humanoids and people. They still got like, what was it, Bill?
There was a cool like cocktail lounge.
They had a cocktail lounge. They got ships. Bill Murray was there. So I'm like, all right, they must have other human-looking people. Wouldn't you? You saw how this shit ended, wouldn't you?
Yeah, maybe.
When I was kind of like, Wanda had a point at the end of like, I mean, shit, everybody is dead. I don't know if I would have just gave up, but if I was Kamala, I might have, probably would have off myself. Like, yeah, man, bangle in the mouth, self.
Oh man,
yikes!
As it feels at the end, absolutely, with the little fist.
That would have been a great way to end the show. Right?
Kamala
Rather than a cliffhanger,
Kamala killing herself.
It's over.
That'd have been a bridge too far. A bridge too far.
Maybe not. But Ant-Man shrinking powers to just run away from it all. But if I gotta face it, just give me a bodyguard who's invincible, with unbreakable skin. Either way, I'm not banking on living.
All right. What is Ghost Rider's power set? Could he help us here in some way? He's kind of exists between different worlds. Like maybe he wouldn't become a zombie. He's kind of dead already in some ways. Like he's kind of got the spirit or whatever, the Ghost Rider spirit in him.
Well, he's not dead. That's the thing. He's not undead. He's just a dude with a demon spirit inside of him. That's the best way you should think of Ghost Rider. Is like he's the host of a demon that gives him his powers. I don't think that makes him immune to being a zombie. Also, Marvel zombies, they go full sin and say, "Look, there is no resisting it. There is no cure. You get that shit. It
got you.
It does its thing."
Okay.
If they had a cure, he wouldn't be in this boat in the first place. You know how easy these zombie movies would be if they just had a cure. Shit, Walking Dead said, nope, everybody's already infected. We lost already. I'm like, oh, shit.
All right, friends. Well, that'll do it. Marvel Zombies. It's out now. 4 episodes. Brian, your rating at the end of the day? What's your Metacritic? Brian?
It's fun, super fun. A lot of like comic booky type stuff. Good ride. It doesn't overstay its welcome. I give it a 4 out of 5.
All right. I think I'm at probably about 4 out of 5, maybe 3.5 out of 5. I don't know. The first episode or so, I was like, man, this is fine. By the end, it was like, these are cool.
You didn't like the Young Avengers? Are you saying you're a misogynist? You just didn't like the girls hanging?
I don't think that's what it was.
Is that what happened?
I really would have liked some Iron Man, Hawkeye, some Iron Man and Hawkeye, but I guess.
Nah.
Hey, where was Falcon in all of this?
Oh, I don't know.
Where's the Winter Soldier?
I think you had to watch the What If episode because a lot of them died in the What If because Bucky's the one who cut Cap in half in the What If episode. That's why he's bisected. In fact, a lot of the characters you saw them pre-zombie in What If before they ended up here, like Okoye and several others.
I think it's fun, but I think ultimately also like you don't have to watch this. You don't
have to watch
it's not
anything.
Like a must. It's not. Well, I know, but it's not like a must watch. I don't think. Sav, where are you at? Not just because it doesn't tie into MCU, but I think it's like overall, it's like just not like a must watch.
4 out of 5. It was fun. Animation was good. Wasn't a long drag of a series. It was refreshing in that you got to see all these gruesome, violent deaths, and that's just like a little palate. I don't want to say palate cleanser, but a palate swap up from what we're normally getting from a lot of our Marvel stuff. So just getting something inherently different.
Palate destroyer.
Especially this will be a fun rewatch maybe later on this month. Animation was great. I think What If has that same animation style, and you could tell when they were rushed and had less polish and time. I thought the choreo, the fights, the graphics, and visuals were amazing. My only real knock on the show is that I said before, a lot of the characters aren't voice actors, and so certain moments I think are undercut because it's just there's a little bit of that disconnect. I'm not always a fan of MCU base, but I'm splitting hairs. 4 out of 5. This is great. I would recommend anybody who's a Marvel fan. I would recommend, hey man, watch it. It's fun. Like you get to watch superheroes do silly shit, and you don't got to overly invest. Isn't that what people have been asking for ages? Like, if you don't like,
I want full investment. I want the Dark Knight superhero.
Dark Knight or Blade Knight?
Moonblade.
Night. Night Moon.
Night Moon. All right. All right, friends. That'll do it for us. Hit us up on @confidently_pod on Instagram. When we post the show, post the post. I don't know what you call it. Leave us a DM or a comment. Let us know what you thought of the show if you've seen it, and if you haven't seen it, what's holding you back? Because I know it seemed like not a lot of people have been watching this so far. But maybe we'll spread the good word, and our enthusiasm, or your two enthusiasm, will inspire people to check it out. So, friends, we're out of here. We'll see you back
And basketball coming.
Episode 200. Yeah, we're in. Well, I'm not a big Dodgers fan, but I'm wearing my Dodgers jersey today because they're in the playoffs.
He said basketball, not baseball.
And then
Nobody gives
basketball
a F.
is right around the corner. I watched the Lakers first preseason game on Friday night, and then they have another one tonight. Brian, you've been watching the Knicks from Abu Dhabi, or at least your Knicks are in Abu Dhabi. I don't know if you got to see it yet.
They're hanging out on camels out there. Like camel riding.
So we're about to be really in the thick of it in NBA season, which I'm excited about. We'll see. Full of promise. You know, the beginning is always full of promise for every team.
Not the Pelicans. Those people are awful.
Well,
Zion,
skinny Zion is amping people up.
Yeah, there's my social media is full of highlights of.
All right, I believe in skinny Zion, as I believe in Hoodie Mello. Before I believe in
Hoodie Mello was already old at that point.
Sure, man. Skinny Zion. Sure.
All right, friends, we're out of here. See you later. Bye bye. Enjoy yourselves. Be safe.